out, I let my cat explode. Now I'm switching my mind back into freak mode. If you won't skirt, sit back and observe. I just left a gang of hoes over there on the curb. Now they got the freaks, and that's a known fact. Before I got jacked, I was on the same track. Back up, cause it's on N-A-T-E-N-E. The woman to the G.
Yo.
Yo, what's up?
Oh, good. What up?
I'm good.
Good.
Nice work.
Are you settled in with your wines and stuff?
You know, after a long week.
Eh?
Yeah, I'm good. Good.
You're sorted. How was the week?
It was a long one, bruh. It was a long one. But yeah, that's why I need some of this.
Some time for chats, for young chats there.
Yeah, true.
Alright, cool. So anyway, let me start by saying thank you for actually affording us this opportunity to talk to you. We just want to talk about your journey, Chuck, when you used to smoke and what got you to actually quitting and how life is now and how life was when you were smoking, like comparing the two, because ideally we're trying to have conversations where current smokers would find some kind of content to actually encourage them to finally, taking the leap of faith and quitting. So I don't know, maybe you might want to tell us ideally when you started smoking and why you started smoking.
Yeah, I started young. I started being because of peer pressure. I don't even want to put it to anything else. So started at a young age when I actually started drinking. So it automatically became a habit that was attached to the drinking.
Okay.
So I started young because of peer pressure. Those kind of things. You grow up and you kind of lose yourself in the times that when you grow up, you just get yourself into so many things.
Yeah.
So I caught onto the habit in high school. I think it was 2000 and something. Yeah.
What
I don't think I'm going to expose my age as yet.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah. So it was just that started back when I was young, and it's just a habit that I thought was something that I'm into, but it turns out I really wasn't into it.
Yeah. Funny enough, I was sitting with a friend today, and he says he finally quit smoking, and he actually did it during lockdown. And he says to me, I actually never liked smoking, and I knew what I was doing when I started smoking, but I didn't like it. But anyway, we'll talk to him on Wednesday. I think he's agreed to come on and have a chat with us as well. So we'll speak to him about it. But for me, it's actually, my story is kind of funny. I always tell people my story and they laugh at it. And I say, back then when we used to go to night study, you know how we used to walk all the way from the campus home, and sometimes you don't have anybody to walk home with, and it becomes very pitch black and you're frightened to walk by yourself. So I attached it to being a grown-up, to being an adult, and so I decided to start smoking on my way home. And literally that's how I started smoking, because I had this perception that when somebody sees somebody approaching and smoking and it's pitch black, they're gonna obviously assume that it's an adult or somebody older. And that was it. So since 96, I smoked until 2013, which was like a good, 17 years that I did.
Yeah, and I think some people also attached it to a superstition that it chases away ghosts, especially in it's like. So I think you should just be honest. If you are scared of ghosts, right? We were all young at some point. You're scared of ghosts, but it's fine. Yeah, I think there's different reasons, man. But yeah, I think for me personally, it was that I just bought into it because of peer pressure. And you know, like you're saying, we grew up in a student town, and in student towns, you know, you actually, as you are growing up, you get acquainted with people who are actually much older than you know, and just from that, the stuff that you do as a kid actually precedes your age, you know. So yeah, the smoking got attached to the drinking and the nightlife because growing up in a student town, you are going to engage in such things, you know. And I think at that age, yes, you want to be cool and relevant. And me as a DJ, those are the kind of things that I thought were cool at the time, you know.
Yeah.
Only to find is a thing, yeah. So how I actually got to quitting was a funny story. Actually, it's not even funny; it's actually realistic. So on my third year anniversary. Yeah, because it's been a year now. I'm going on 4 years, man. I'm on 4 years.
You mean 4th year anniversary? Yeah, smoking. Or what?
No. Of being in a marriage.
Okay.
Yeah. So now this is when I had already had a kid, and it was something that I actually wanted to get rid of, you know, because one, I don't smoke. I wasn't smoking unless I was drinking, or whenever I smoked without drinking, I was really stressed, or I had nothing to do, or it was just passed on to me, and I just caught it on from someone else, and I just used it. You know, I wasn't actually saying, you know what, I feel like I'm craving a smoke. I'm breaking down walls, you know, unless I'm really stressed or anything of that sort. So for me, quitting came, like I'm saying, it's a funny thing because I actually realized like a week or two later, like I had an epiphany basically, like, you know, when you realize like, oh snap, I haven't been smoking, and now this is like 3 weeks in deep, you know, into not smoking. And when that happened, I took an oath and I made it upon myself, you know what, now I'm consciously gonna quit smoking, you know. So now, and then after taking the pact with myself, I realized a year later that, you know what, I've actually quit, because even when I am engaging in a drink or two, I'm not doing it, you know, because now I took an active decision to change that, because now it was actually something passive, you know. For me,
Okay. And you know, when you talk about your anniversary, you actually just reminded me something, and I want to ask: do you think smoking affected your relationship in any way, say, with your parents, siblings, or your current partner?
Yeah, so it did, in a negative way, I might add. So for me, one, it caused distrust, because one, if I had to do it, I had to, while I was still maybe at home, like living with my parents, I had to hide from them, you know. And it's that in itself already says to you it's something that I shouldn't be doing in the first place. If I have to hide from something, from someone, I'm not being honest with myself and the next person, you know. And into marriage as well, I always told myself, you know what, once my kid is now here, I'm gonna quit smoking, you know. And then it persisted. So I at some point engaged my partner to say, you know what, I actually want to quit doing this thing. And because I kept going back, it kind of caused a rift, because I was being dishonest to her and to myself, you know. So it kind of caused the tension more and more, because even when you know, people are normal, we have these conversations where we disagree with each other, you know, and it doesn't turn out nice sometimes. And in the disagreeing, I would actually walk off and go have a smoke or something like that, or even I would try and hide it from this person. So in my doing that, it would be disappointment. Like, okay, you said you want help to quit this thing, but now you're back. So what am I supposed to believe, you know? So it did cause a rift.
Yeah, you're raising quite a lot of good points there, because, like, for instance, a lot of people actually don't want to actually commit to saying that they're quitting and telling people around them that they're quitting, because they always fear being judged when they they relapse, you know. And it has become one of the biggest issues why people don't actually quit, because they're already telling themselves, I don't have the willpower to actually do it, and if I do fail, I'm going to be judged, or I'm going to be laughed at, you know. But coming back to relationships, for me, with my parents, I feel that I don't really have much of a relationship, because I spent a lot of time hiding away from them, like, because I wanted to go feed this habit. I wanted to be in spaces where I can be free to smoke. So ideally, then that would be mean I spend most of my time away from them in places where I can sit and drink and do all of that stuff, you know. So in turn, it I think it kind of affected or caused me the relation that I should have ideally had with them. But when it comes to my current partner, or my partner now, is, I think she's one person that I found myself investing a lot emotionally, to a point where, you know, our arguments or our friction would be quite intense. And when you are a smoker and you realize that when you smoke, your level of endorphins is not constant. It literally just keeps fluctuating. And at some point, you become very depressed and very aggressive in your behavior, because of your lack of being able to, your body suppressed from doing things naturally. And funny enough, she would always keep like a cigarette or two planted somewhere in the house. And when that moment comes, funny enough, that's how she would actually calm me down. She would give me a cigarette and it would calm me down. And I realized, well, now, secondly, like a slave, I can't really control my own self, and I'm dependent on this thing, and I shouldn't be, because I've never been dependent on it. And when I look at my life, I'm like, dude, you've been smoking literally your whole adult life, meaning that as an adult, you've never performed at 100% of your natural self, you know, because you constantly pumped with this suppressant, which is nicotine. And it didn't make sense to me. Will I ever get to experience my true self if I continue smoking? You know? And ideally, when my son was born, that's when I decided, nope, I have to let go, because I'm robbing my family of the time that they could have with me, because I'm cutting my time short. On top of that, like my life policies were, I wasn't getting the full, like, for instance, when I quit smoking, my life policy basically doubled without me having to increase the premium. So to me, was already, I was robbing my family financially. Whereas someday when I passed on, the payout will be double what they would have paid while I was still a smoker. It didn't make financial sense as well, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's how for me, it affected my life in the biggest sense, that I was taken away from both my family in the physical and also in the financial.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
coming back
amazing.
to
Yeah.
our well, your journey, I want to find out, like, your performance and productivity at work. Is it things that you feel that changed, or your cigarette smoking actually affected in any way?
So, I think my performance actually increased. And but look, all the downside of smoking is that once you crave it, everything else stops. You can't think about anything else, Even in the instances where You know, it could be when you're out having a drink or two, like I used to do, or when you're stressed, you think my only way out is through a cigarette,
Yeah.
and it actually clouds your judgment. You know, the fact that you could be trying to think, okay, I literally need to take one step forward, but that solution is not coming to you because the only thing that's on your mind is, you know
Yeah.
what, before I take that step forward or before I find a solution, I need to have a smoke, you know.
Yeah.
So in terms of decluttering, I think I'm actually reading this book. It actually talks about slowing down and finding the when in silence, and when you find time to speak to yourself without any clutter or anything, that's when you have the answer, whether it being financially, whatever, you know. So
Mm.
I think it speaks to what I am trying to put across, that the 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 cigarette would literally be a cloud from the smoke, and in literally in your mind, like you you can't think, you know.
Yeah.
So I think for me also in terms of performance, I think I was very sluggish. So I'm a tennis player,
Yeah.
and um, you'd find that sometimes after hitting the courts, né, when I had a smoke, I would feel the smoke hit so deep that I feel like I'm gonna faint. You know, I'd literally have to maybe sit down on something. You know, I'd be
Yeah.
so dizzy. But
Yeah.
if I went from the courts and into a shower and into maybe a study or whatever routine, I'd find that I'm more productive. I'd literally just get stuff done. I'd be fresh. Everything in my mind would still be fresh, you know?
Mm.
So those are the kind of things that I actually noticed as well. And I think, yeah, it was just made me sluggish. And
Yeah.
from the fact that it decluttered my mind, the quitting, it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we talk about productivity and talking about work, you know, like I want to say, the average person smokes, or average cigarette takes about 5 to 10 minutes, you know, and an average
Yeah.
person smokes about maybe say five while they're at work during the day, you know,
Mm,
and if you
mm,
look at it, you get like a 9 to 5 where they say you work an average of 8 hours, but in essence, smokers actually work 7 hours and get paid an extra hour because accumulatively those 10 minutes work out to like an hour. And this is if they
yeah.
are doing it by themselves. But if they go as a collective, then it can tend to about 15 to 30 minutes of time that they shave off. In a year, they actually get paid a 13th check without actually doing anything, you know. But also,
Yeah.
when they are sitting on behind that desk and they are working, they spend about another 15 minutes contemplating whether they should go smoke or not. Will people judge them if they get up and go smoke? So they
The
actually
clutter,
spend
yeah.
a lot of time, exactly that, a lot of
Mm,
time being consumed by cigarettes, even when they're not smoking cigarettes. Yeah, well,
true.
so
Yeah.
in any way, but then some smokers would argue that I'm more productive when I've smoked, which is again
Sure.
another argument that we say, no, you're not productive when you smoke. What you have to realize is over years, you've cultivated your body to be suppressed by cigarettes to a point where at some point you would think that when you smoke, you're much more productive. But you're actually now only performing at the peak that your natural self should be performing at.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you really more creative or
Yeah.
more productive than the average person. If anything, you are costing your employer, money and time. It's
Yeah.
literally just a waste, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And the actual time that you actually spend walking from your desk to outside the office actually count. If you
Yeah.
think about it, it counts as time to be factored in. And in my line of work, being a DJ, an hour is a whole set. To I get paid an hour. Yeah. they better recognize that they're stealing. It is money. Like, time is money.
Yeah.
They better recognize. Yeah, and I'm not one person to be judgmental, to each their own, But if it's costing me my livelihood, it being at work, it being at home, in any way,
Yeah.
that to me is a red flag, But to each their own, to each
Yeah.
their own. But true.
Yeah. So now, as a non-smoker, how are you relating to other smokers? Like around your workspace as well.
One, I've realized that, like you're saying, I don't spend any time wasting. The only time that I would probably waste is me walking to the bathroom, probably. But I think I've been able to achieve most of the things that I wanted to push myself to do. Like waking up early, like exercising. I can even go for longer in terms of physical activities.
Mm.
So I think it's just a matter of even your breathing, even when you do simple stuff like a simple fast walk or walking up the stairs, simple things. You'll just feel like, okay, now I can breathe.
Mm.
There's a
Mm.
difference in when you used to
Mm.
smoke and when you haven't. You felt heavier then than you do now. So I
Yeah.
think for me, that's the feeling lighter part. I think it was a kickstart to a journey of self-awareness. There's a lot of stuff that I
Yeah.
actually got to accomplish after that. I got to push myself to do a whole lot more after that,
Mm.
not just in terms of work, but in personal growth as well. Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
you know me, you know where I've been, how far I've come, and what I'm trying to push. So
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that I put my mind to, I achieve because there's nothing clouding my judgment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I always say, uh, smoking is like it's like if you put two kids next to each other. One is piggybacking another one, and then they do like a sprint. Obviously, the one without another child in their back will be the the, the quickest, or the one that does the task easiest. You know,
Mm,
and that's
mm.
basically what we're doing to our red blood cells. We just piling nicotine onto our red blood cells, and we expect ourselves to perform like every other normal person. It's not gonna work. You know.
Yeah, so basically we're children, literally and figuratively. I think that's another thing. I
Yeah.
mean, as an externality, think about it. I mean, it's not just yourself who's affected. It's the next person as well. I mean, this thing is airborne. It's just like
Yeah.
like COVID, dude. You don't even know what's coming from. It's just gonna hit your lungs, and you're like, "Oh, who's smoking?"
True. True.
Yeah.
All right, but so I think to wrap up, I just wanted also I found out recently when I was working with the guys from Department of Health that there's a bill that's gonna come out pretty soon, you know, and it says they're putting 100% ban on smoking in all public areas, and I think for me it's something that I'm looking forward to, like in restaurants. I think they're gonna get rid of that. In office spaces, they're gonna get rid of designated smoking areas. I'm not too sure if when they say 100%, they mean even in the streets, nobody can smoke, as in you can't smoke like you can't drink in the streets. I'm not too sure. But I don't know, maybe you've got an idea or you've got your own sentiments about that.
Look, man, I think I already mentioned the fact that it's an externality, fact that even in restaurants, just walking by the smokers section, it literally just, it feels so heavy on your chest, And I think another thing is it's so evasive, even in public spaces. I mean, I've encountered people who don't even like any gathering, you know, you don't even consider whether people smoke or not, how it affects them. People just spark up a cigarette and Bob's your uncle. You know,
Yeah.
it's just evasive, and I think yes, for me, get rid of it because one, like we just mentioned, it's gonna increase productivity. Two, it's gonna increase health standards. You know, there's going to be less pressure on the health system. I think that's a lot of positives and integral positives. You know, that we should consider first and foremost because that's the essence of being. You know, if you
Yeah.
can't think of the next person who's right next to you or not, do they? How does it affect them? You know, and their life choices. It's evasive. So
Yeah.
let's let's just do away with it, you know. Let's just do away with it. If anything, um, the numbers can always be supplemented, or
Mm.
something else can be brought to yeah, like I'm saying, to supplement whatever void will be made by maybe say it goes to an extreme of literally just banning the whole thing, you know. I think because we're innovators, we'll find a way to sustain the economy without cigarettes. You know,
Yeah.
that's just yeah, it's just deadly. It's immoral,
Yeah.
and I think for the sake of
Like
growing,
when you say immoral.
it's really not because, like I'm saying, it's something that if it's evasive, it's not moral. I
Yeah.
think if you get what I mean, I think
Yeah.
if you're going to evade someone's space, you're doing something that goes against everybody else's morals. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's just it's just not right.
Yeah. No, I get you. I
Yeah.
get you. So you know that the average uh, age that people start smoking is actually between 10 to 14 years old, which was like a shocker to me when I found out that people actually
Yeah,
start smoking. Yeah. So
I
like
think I
you
fall in
think
that bracket as well. Yeah.
so like at that age people start smoking. Uh, when you're between 20 and 30, you really don't care much about their health. It's only when they're 30 onwards that they actually start caring about
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
health and stuff. I don't know, Chuck. As
Yeah.
an ex-smoker, what can you say to that 10-year-old that still wants to or is enticed to actually try it out, or the 30-year-old moving up that actually wants to quit? You know, I think this
Okay.
conversation that we're gonna have on this platform are going to somehow encourage somebody to finally let go or not to even start. You know,
Okay. So
yeah.
since you brought the demographic into play, it just reminded me of my first experience. You know, it was you know, when they're still building the house and just has the walls, and it's not necessarily an abandoned building, but yeah, there was no one there. So my friends and I, they were like, my friends were already doing it. They're like, hey, you want to hit this? You want to try it? You know, I've been seeing them doing it, and
Mm,
one day you want to try it. So let's go into this house. We know there's no one there, still being built. There's no one there, you know.
mm.
So I took my first drag and I didn't feel anything, you know. And then one of them was like, "No, you're not doing it right." So they showed me the proper way to do it. I took my pull, and then immediately,
Yeah.
dude, I don't even know how, but I found myself, I was sitting on my butt, like literally in a fetal position. Like
Yeah.
I was hit that hard. I had to sit down, you know? And that should have been the first red flag. Like, get out, dude. Like, why are you still continuing? You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Like, I think to the 10, 14-year old, your your friends are not worth your future. You know, the peer pressure is not worth your future, man. It's stuff that comes and goes. It's gonna pass. You know, just concentrate on doing you excellently, you know, just push on, find the best way to do the things you love, that you're passionate about, you know.
Yeah.
Read up on where you want to go in life, you know, your goals. Listen to your parents. Just listen to what your parents say, because they've been through that age, you know. Just find you in the situation that you're in, you know. Your friends, yes, they're going to be there maybe throughout your whole life, but you're going to realize you are an individual at the end of the day. You don't need to be part of the clique, you know. You don't need to be a smoker, you know. Just move on with your life, man. Just start your life, especially at that age. Yes, start your life on a positive note, because if you started positive at that age, you're going to do positive until you're older, and you're going to thank yourself for that. Yeah. So to the 30-year-old who really wants to quit, I think, my man, you'll be doing yourself a big favor. You know, the world is your oyster. You already have dreams. You've been that 14-year-old who's been dreaming before, you know. You can reach your dreams. You can go for your goals. You can literally do anything you want to achieve. And start with smoking. You'll see that the moment you beat smoking,
you mean?
Start with quit smoking. Yeah. Start with quit smoking, you know, like just go for it. That's the one thing. Once you've checked that out, there's gonna be so many ticks on your checklist. You'll see you'll hit that age where you'll be smiling in your golden years, man. You thank yourself later as well. Yeah.
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 No, awesome. No, but thank you a lot. I think that was awesome. We've covered some of the things that I wanted us to speak about.
Yeah.
And look, I'll also stay tuned to this page as well, because we're gonna be inviting a couple of more people to come talk to us about these things. But it's quite a serious issue, which I believe it's actually just about to become quite big as well. In terms of our government actually taking it seriously, as opposed to just pushing it to the side like everything else, you know. So awesome stuff.
So you're right. You're actually very right. So I think it's as big as big as just talking about global warming, you know. It's stuff that people actually take for granted, but they affect us on so many levels. You know, they taking away from us more than actually giving anything. You know, it's actually is a huge issue, and I wish you the best of luck, man. Like, push these things, and we'll be in full support. You know how it is.